Hey, I want to welcome our viewers, Kennesaw Happenings Podcast. I'm Podcast Pete, and I'm in the studio with a gentleman who's motivated. So, um, Kevin, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into the podcast.
My name's Kevin Crowley. I work with Motivated Movers. We're located in Woodstock, Georgia. We're veteran owned and operated, and we move. We focus on moving without any of the other problems you're typically going to experience. So it's not too harsh, we think, to expect that the movers are going to show up and that while they're moving, they're going to conduct themselves professionally. They're not going to be playing on their cell phones. You shouldn't see a cell phone for the entirety of your move unless it's your own. The movers are not going to be taking bathroom breaks while you're paying them to work. They're not going to be sitting in the truck. You're going to know where your movers are because you're going to be able to set your clock with the regularity they're coming back and forth from the truck. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Ensuring that you understand your things are safe and they're going as quickly as they can. Who do I serve? Well, I want to serve everyone. I want to make sure that if you've got something that you need moved, it gets done right. There's obviously a lot of people who think that they can get into the moving industry because how hard could it be to move something? It's not hard to move something, but it is hard to do it right.
Yep. I totally agree. What would you say? I want to first thank Don for referring you, Ben, because I was saying, do you know a good mover? He goes, oh yeah. Do I know one? Yes. And he moved me so I can speak from experience, but he knew you as a person before that. So what would you say? How did you get in? First, thank you for your service. We appreciate you doing what you do. And what would you say got you into the moving business? What was the reason and the journey there?
So my brother got me into moving. He'd gotten his first job in Alabama working as a mover. And when I'd had my first kid, my first child, I was in California in San Diego. So culture shock coming out here, but he told me, hey, you're going to love it out here. The values are consistent with the way we were brought up. And sure enough, that was the case. So I lived in Alabama working with Motivated Movers, and they had an opportunity in Atlanta. So that's a market we think that you'd be successful in. There's a lot going on. So I moved out to Atlanta around 2019, right as things really went crazy. And I was working with Jeff Smith, himself a veteran, Air Force. And it, I obviously with a background in the Marine Corps, very aggressive, forward attitude. It was something that I took to immediately. I enjoy it. It is simple. It can be as simple as you want it to be. When you are professional, when you are doing things to the best of your capacity and you're making sure that the little things are done right, it's very straightforward and it's very rewarding. You know when the job starts and you know when the job ends. You can physically, visually recognize this as you progress through the move. And I have to say, the owner of the Motivated Movers in Birmingham that I originally worked for, also a veteran, one of the greatest people I've ever met, a spiritual father, if not in the flesh, extremely motivating, charismatic individual who believed that the most important thing we have is really our job, our ability to do work for others and to do it well, and to ensure that we understand that when we're working for someone, we need to be on our best behavior. That the biggest problem we have is this trend towards, I don't want to say ignorance, but a trend towards a lack of concern for the quality of what you're doing, not respecting what you're doing. Every single box you're carrying is an opportunity to do something the right way or the wrong way. You can pick up the box, but you can also pick up the box and move as quickly as you can, as safely as you can to get it to the truck. You can put something down in an elevator, or you can pick it up, you can bring it to the elevator, and you can ensure that the elevator is properly padded, it's properly protected, and that you're using care in the way that you're using the elevator, you're using other people's facilities. So there's a high skill ceiling. And I liked that. At first, it was something that was very simple, and I thought, I won't enjoy this much. I'm sure I'll be doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
But the best part of it was getting to work with young men who are often coming from situations where they need strong leadership. They need somebody who's going to show them what professionalism looks like, who's going to hold them to a higher standard, who's going to make sure that they're accountable, that they understand being available, showing up on time, wearing a uniform with pride is important. It doesn't just bring credit to the company, it brings credit to yourself, and you're going to carry that wherever you go. Something that the military and the Marine Corps especially encodes in everyone who comes through, and that I think I have an ability to communicate to the guys who work for me, which is probably what I enjoy best about working with motivated movers.
I would say I have a personal story that I won't name names, but I had a mover and he couldn't do it that day. He was a friend. And so his two staff team members moved, and the gentleman was on the phone the entire time, and he backed into a new house and crushed our gutter. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And so, I mean, so what you say, I believe it's, it's not just moving furniture from A to B, it's how you do it and the attention to the details of really, these are people's possessions. And this was a brand new house.
Yeah.
And because he was on the telephone with his girlfriend, he was distracted and smashed into the gutter. And his other guy said, he didn't mean to. I said, what do you mean he didn't mean to? He shouldn't be on the phone.
That's right.
So what do you do like in building your team? Like what do you emphasize in mentoring and putting your team together? Because we talked briefly before the podcast, but share kind of what you believe in as far as building your team at Motivated Movers.
Yeah, well, we put it in the name, Motivated Movers. So we've got to make sure that it's in each and every one of our movers. Now, we can't tell the first day we meet you whether or not you're motivated, but the more people that I employ, the closer I get to being able to discern this with a look. First and foremost, the individual has to be motivated. They have to be motivated. There has to be something in their life that they care about. And when they are motivated, when you can find out what it is that they care about, maybe it is their girlfriend, maybe it is their wife, maybe it's their child, maybe it's their opportunities to physically develop themselves. There's no shortage of people who sit down and ask for a job who think I would be a good fit here because I don't want to pay for a gym membership. And I want to be fit. I want to be stronger. And I'll tell you, the way that Motivated Movers conducts ourselves, you will get stronger. You will get faster. We want to make sure that the people we employ have something else that they care about, that they understand the opportunity to come to work, to have a job it's a privilege. You're not going to be born into the world and someone's going to hand you employment. You've got to earn it every day. And as I said before, every one of your customers is an opportunity to do that. You're only selling yourself short. When people understand this, we'll give them a chance. We'll put them on the truck and we'll let them work. You can quickly, within 2 or 3 revolutions of an appropriate move, determine whether or not this person gets it. If they get it, they're going to be motivated. You're not going to see them except when they're working. They're not going to stand and watch other people work. You mentioned, being on your cell phone and backing into a brand new house and this kind of casual, careless attitude that a lot of these guys have because they've given up on themselves. They're not motivated. There's nothing internally that they care about more than their immediate gratification. These guys are guys, the ones who are motivated, the ones who are working hard. You can tell when they don't stand and watch others work. It's very, very clear. And one of the easiest ways to sort the good employees from the people who are not motivated. We teach them, you're being paid an hourly rate. We're charging the customer an hourly rate. We're not going to waste anyone's time. You're not going to waste your time. We're not going to waste the customer's time. We're going to move. We're going to move. We're going to move. You need to be running to the truck. You need to be running from the truck. You need to be constantly thinking, what is the next step in the process to get this job done? And when that motivation exists, when they show up to the job with a desire to get the job done as quickly as possible, and you're able to drive that motivation deeper and deeper into them, you see it in everything that they do. We always say it's easier to slow someone down than it is to speed them up.
Yeah.
And if you sit down across from me and you look like you need to be sped up, you're probably not a good fit.
Right.
If vulgarity, obscenity, things like this are a part of your life, you're not going to be a good fit.
What do you, I mean, I always found that, and I won't tell the story, another story, because it relates to one person, but how do you determine, like, when somebody calls you up and says, I want to do a move, do you go on the premise every time? Do you ask the number of boxes? How do you determine the fit for the size truck, the number of people that are going to be on that truck and on that job?
So we've got our best solution to the issue, to start with the last question you asked first. We only use 26-foot straight box trucks. So you call Motivated Movers, you don't have to worry that you're going to have enough space on the truck. We're going to send a 26-foot box truck regardless. There's no additional charge to you. The hourly rate is going to be the same, the best hourly rate that we can get you, and provide you with the quality services that you want. So that's right out. One of my favorite things is the opportunity to come and do on-site estimates. I appreciate the opportunity to meet people who have, lifetimes of experiences that are outside of my own, and I have an opportunity to talk with them. And I offer that service. We offer that service. Anyone who'd like it, if you've got something you need moved, it's always going to be better, I think, to have somebody come and meet you, sit down with you, and actually understand everything that you're doing. Now, of course, you can call the office, you can talk to the girls at the office, and they'll be happy to take an inventory from you. Use the computerized systems that we have. If that's what you like, that's fine. We've got that, all the most modern computer thingies. But my preference is to meet and talk with the people who would like the service, to make sure that, we are going to be able to do it, and you're going to feel comfortable, and you're going to understand through every step of the process what's happening, why it's happening, and ultimately who it is that you need to talk to if you do have a concern.
Yeah, I love the way you frame that and talk about that. I have a friend, and he's I'm 66 and he's in his early 70s. When they moved, it was the person had said they were going to move on this date. They had to be out of the house and into the new facility. And he, went eyeball to eyeball with the mover. And it was not a pleasant sight, because, it's stressful when you move.
That's right.
For people like myself that are moving. I'm sure you know it too. But I'm saying, we want peace of mind. We want to know that when you say you're going to show up on Wednesday and it's going to be done by the end of Wednesday, I can move out of my new place into my new place and make all those, because moving is crazy, because you're coordinating all this stuff, from closing on a house, getting a new house, or whatever it is. So what would you say? I love the idea that peace of mind. What do you do on a daily basis that gives our listeners that peace of mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. You've clearly got a lot of experience with movers.
Yeah, unfortunately, not the good side. Until I talked to Don and he raved about you, I was going like, you mean there's a good mover out there?
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Of course, yeah. So, of course, an element of every service that you employ is going to be that you get what you pay for. Right? And it works both ways, but you do get what you pay for. There's companies out there who are charging $65, $75, $100, $120 an hour for their movers. And they're going to show up with a rental vehicle, or they're going to show up with an undersized vehicle, and they're going to show up with people who are not, concerned with concerned with the time. They're, in fact, I love the opportunity to work alongside other movers at facilities, storage units, wherever we might find them. Sometimes we'll pull up at a house and the neighbors are moving with a different company. And we all take it as a matter of pride that we're going to make several trips back and forth with their things and the time it takes them to make one. And usually we'll break their spirit. And then they'll be asking us, like, what is it that you guys drank this morning? How are you doing this?
Yeah.
But there's the most important thing for any moving company. And this is going to be something where if you meet my movers, you can tell them this. You can say, what is the most important thing for a mover? And they'll tell you. You have to be where you say you're going to be, when you say you're going to be there. Everything that we enjoy about modern life is dependent on our ability to do what we say we're going to do and to be where we say we're going to be. And that in and of itself is an ability. Motivated movers will not fail to complete a move. If we have you on the schedule, we've obligated ourselves and our crews to come and perform these services, they will be performed. It's absolutely a very complex transition. Even myself, the first time I used professional movers, it was actually my brother. I came to live in Alabama, very close by, and he was already working with the moving company. And I started working there with him before I came to Atlanta. And I remember him asking me, he's like, look, you're going to be moving to Atlanta. So I want to make sure, obviously I'm going to come help you with the move. I want to make sure you're ready to go. And I was younger then. And I thought, yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Everything's ready. Of course, in my mind, I'm dealing with all of the other things, the utilities I've got to get transferred, including the internet.
Right.
I'm worried about, how am I going to make sure that I minimize the cost switching these utilities over. I want to make sure that I get the mail. It's got to get forwarded. There's a lot of things that got to be settled. The last thing I want to worry about is whether or not the movers are going to show up.
Right.
Closing could fall through. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of things downstream from our inability to do what we say we're going to do. And so you have to trust that. But to the story, he shows up on the date of the move. He says, all right, let's get going. He opens the door and he just stopped. And he looked at me and he said, Kevin, you are not ready to move. And what I saw next helped set the tone for what I expect from myself and for what I expect from all of my employees when we conduct ourselves as professionals providing a moving service. He was like a whirlwind moving through the house with a speed and precision and confidence that I had never seen or expected. In my younger years, back in my teens and my early 20s, before I had joined the military, I had worked with a moving company, 2 men in a truck, big corporate moving company. And I had become frustrated, and I'd left that job and found something else because the customers always seemed unhappy. And that wasn't something I was comfortable with. I was constantly being placed into situations where I felt like we were being dishonest, because joining as an idealistic youngster, I had thought, we want to do the best work that we can. Everybody understands that if you're paying by the hour, you want to employ a company who's going to be motivated. They're going to work hard. They're going to work consistently. They're going to put effort into what they're doing. And the people that I was working with were not putting any effort into it. So not only were the customers dissatisfied, disgruntled, and shocked at the cost of their move, not just because they'd had to pay, $1,000, $2,000, whatever they paid, but because they felt like if the move was going to cost this much, why didn't the people who came out and provided the service work diligently and expeditiously to finish the move? Not only that, but as a young man, putting all of my effort, my mama raised me right. I was raised in the church. It was a matter of pride to me that I would be running back and forth to the truck, working as hard as I could, expecting the people that had years of experience, who were responsible for organizing the entire move. I was making all these trips to the truck, and they were like telling me, like, slow down. What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? You're making us look bad. So you're making us look bad. You're making you look bad. Right. And I can't do this because I'm doing 2 or 3 times the work because I don't know, because you want to run out the clock. Right. You think you're going to get paid more, that there's a world where it's a better environment for you if you put in half the effort.
Mhm.
So I had left. And I told them, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. This is what moving companies are. I'll never hire a moving company because this is ridiculous. I don't
Yeah.
want to pay a bunch of careless teenagers or young men who are lost in adrift, who have nothing motivating them
Yep.
to come in, put in zero effort to move things. I mean, I'll do it myself, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it is, before I pay $2,000 to watch you play on your cell phone, to watch you casually walk back and forth to the truck. So, and I'm digressing into, that experience because that was shocking to me.
Right.
There was no concern with what they were doing. And they were using expressions and words like, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
And this you can see when you speak to people who've had these bad experiences, and they'll ask me when I do the on-site estimates, they're like, we're going to start the move today and we're going to finish the move today. And I mean, I have to hold back my genuine reaction to that, which is shock. Like, well, of course, we're moving a 2-bedroom apartment. We're moving a 3-bedroom apartment. We're moving a 1,500 square foot, 1,700 square foot, 2,300 square foot home. Of course, that's going to be done in one day. And they'll say, well, the last time I moved, we weren't done until 1 a.m. in the morning. And that's incredible. 1 a.m. in the morning. No one needs to be up at that time.
Right.
That's what happens when the movers get onto the move. They're not motivated. They have no interest in what they're doing. They have no respect for themselves.
Right.
And they have no respect for you as a customer.
Yeah. I totally agree with what you're saying. And I have never, and I have more stories that are on movers. I probably am the poster child of the other side, what you're explaining. So it hits right here. But I wanted to go to our facility. You obviously, with your philosophy, work with the same facilities, because once you find a good mover, they're kind of like, I don't know what it would be equated to, but it's kind of like you found a lost brother, because I think in the industry, there's not that philosophy at all, because it's not just one mover. I've heard more mover stories. It was kind of like before Uber came, the taxi industry. I mean, it was crazy, the situations that you would run into because it was bad customer service. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes along that improves the customer service to the highest level, and they dominate an industry. What would you say to the facilities that you're working with on a regular basis? What makes you like that rapport, that relationship? What would they want to know that you really emphasize? And they've listened to your podcast, but I'm just curious, because I know facilities, once they get somebody they're confident in,
yes,
you ain't getting away.
Right. Yeah. So technically, one of the most important things that is a part of our philosophy and our approach to the work that we do for a facility manager is we do not use tools and equipment where it is solely a labor-saving device. Ultimately, we need to move everything safely. That is the preeminent concern. Everything has to be moved safely. It needs to arrive in the condition it was retrieved. After that, it's expeditious. How quickly can we do this? If it's more difficult, it's irrelevant. How quickly can we do this? So we have dollies. We have 4-wheel dollies, Chicago dolly. We have every dolly. There's so many dollies. There are more dollies than you could imagine.
Yeah.
We have many different devices that are used, tools, to effectively and safely move your things, but we don't employ them only to save effort. We only employ them to save time. Most of the damage to facilities happen because the careless usage and employment of these tools, not because they are necessary, not because they are going to save time, but because the people who are doing the job don't care about anything other than the minimal amount of effort necessary to continue receiving their paycheck. They'll run dollies into walls. They'll put things onto equipment that should never be on it. They'll take oversized dressers and drawers, or they'll misuse the tools and equipment because their goal is not to safely move the furniture as quickly as possible. Their goal is to not expend effort.
Right.
So that's a very technical aspect of it.
Yeah, no. I like your answer. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but what I think is more important than the technical aspect is that, we have to respect what we're doing. We have to have respect for what we're doing. We have to. And when we have respect for what we're doing, it bleeds into everything else that we do. I don't, we have worked with several different facilities on a regular basis where they said, look, we're telling everyone that comes to this facility, you want to work with motivated movers. Like, those are the first people you need to call, because the elevator is not being destroyed on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
There's not any sense of conflict with any of the people, the residents and the employees. They're always courteous. They're always polite. They're always staying out of the way, getting the job done,
Mm-hmm.
not focused on anything else. If there is an issue, they resolve it professionally. We don't trust other movers because they come in, they destroy the elevator, they destroy the hallways.
Yep.
They leave trash.
Mm-hmm.
We have drinks and snack wrappers left all over wherever the truck was
Yep.
parked.
Mm-hmm.
The trucks are dirty and disorganized. The guys frankly aren't people you'd want to be around. You'd want to let into your home.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I know this situation comes up at Overture. They want to be near their grandkids.
Yes.
So they're moving. They've been in Florida and they're moving up here. So if somebody is moving from Florida here, how would you service them? Do you have a network? Do you have people that'll move this stuff from Florida to here? How would that work for our out of town people?
Yeah, you could call me and I could drive down to Florida. I think it's a great state. And I love it. The girls in the office, while they, I prefer to come out and put eyes on everything, they are very studious, very experienced. And I started actually with Motivated Movers. I was on the phones talking to customers every day, and I enjoyed it. Now, of course, you've got a job to do. You're being paid to get them on the schedule as quickly as possible. But the great thing about working in customer service is I have an excuse when I'm answering the phone. Well, these people want to know that they have someone they can talk to, that they can trust, who's going to provide the services that they want.
Mm-hmm.
I get to talk. They are very good at getting an inventory from you. You can get on the phone with them and trust them. They're going to walk you through the process. They're going to walk you through the house. We have technologies like this now with FaceTime,
right,
where we can schedule a quick 20 to 30 minute walkthrough, and we'll do what we call a virtual estimate, where if you can hold your phone and walk through the house, we'll guide you through the house in the path that's going to make the most sense for us to get a detailed inventory for you. You can let us know what you have. And we'll always make sure that we're communicating very clearly what the cost is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't mentioned it yet, but I'm sure as I say it, you'll recognize where I'm going. One of the biggest concerns I hear from customers, when you tell me what the move is going to cost, is the cost going to change when you arrive with my things?
Yeah, it does. In the past. Oh, yeah. And I remember moving and we were like so close to getting it all on the truck.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't work. Then the hourly rate for just a few things obviously went way up.
Right.
And I remember like looking at my watch going like, man, I hope we can get this done, because you run the hourly rate times another couple hours, you're thinking that's going to be another $600.
Yes.
It's because you can't get that one little thing on. They have to come back. So yeah, that is an aggravation.
Yeah. So right. So that's exactly why we only use 26-foot straight box trucks. You should never be in a position where you have to ask, would this multi-$100 charge been avoided if you had sent the properly sized truck?
Yeah.
And obviously as a customer, you have a vested interest in the successful move of your things efficiently. Yeah. You're not going to lie. You're not going to misrepresent what you have. To the best of your ability, you're going to communicate that. Mm-hmm. So you'll never have to worry about the price changing. Once we've given you a price for a move from Florida to Georgia, a move between states, the price is fixed. Now, I've missed estimates before, especially in my younger days when I was wet behind the ears and I was ready to go. I remember Sipsey Valley Middle School in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You call them up, ask them, let them know you want to talk to them about the movers who moved them from their old building across the way. Ask them what a great deal they got on that move, and they'll tell you, "Oh, it was one of the best deals we ever got."
And you lost a lot of money.
And I lost a lot of money and put a lot of sweat,
Yeah.
a little bit of blood, and a lot of tears into ensuring that we move that as quickly as possible because we gave a guaranteed price. And Brian Stifler, who founded Motivated Movers in Birmingham, was very clear. You gave him a price, and that's your word.
Wow.
And it doesn't matter what it takes to get it done. That's your responsibility. You gave them a price.
Yeah.
So if you're going to talk to them about their inventory, you're going to walk through their house with them on FaceTime or something like that. Whatever it is that you decide you're going to do, whatever tools, equipment, and manpower you need to bring to bear, you're going to get it done. You're going to hammer down. You're going to get it done. And you're not going to charge them a single cent more.
Right.
Because it's your responsibility to honor your word.
I like that. So tell our viewers, how would they get a hold of you, Kevin?
Well, we've got all of those social medias. We've got Facebook. We've got Nextdoor. I love Nextdoor. I think it's a great idea. There's so much that we can connect to now with the internet. It's nice that there are companies that are focusing not so much on how far out we can expand our consciousness and awareness, but keeping it constrained to our communities where what we say and do actually has much more impact. We don't have an Instagram, but I'll work on it. We've got Facebook. We're on Nextdoor.
Okay.
We have a website, getmotivatedmovers.com, and you can access everything there. But I've got a cell phone. I've got a cell phone number. You can call, text, or email us at any time. If you think it's appropriate, I can stay with those documents.
Give it to, and then we'll put it in the show notes too for our drivers that we want you to focus on the road and not be writing something down. But for our people that are listening, please.
Yeah. So my email address is, try to keep it as simple as possible. It's Kevin, Kevin at getmotivatedmovers.com. My phone number is 470-394-9263. Call or text anytime, whatever you're comfortable with. If you don't get a hold of me, leave me a voice message, send me a text message. I will get back to you and make sure I get all your questions answered. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Any other way to contact me? The best ways to contact me, like I said, I like to talk to people. I like to understand you. I like to understand what it is you're doing, why it is you're moving. One of the earliest things I discovered is if you can understand why they're moving, everything else will unlock itself for you.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I just want to encourage our viewers, share this with people, because in an industry that doesn't have the level that Kevin has explained, there's a lot of horror stories out there. I got a bunch of them, and I know our viewers probably have some too. So share this with them, let them know that there are options out there. What would you like, as we close down, what would you like our viewers to take home from this podcast, Kevin?
I would like everybody to take home that we are all a community, that what we do locally is much more important. I appreciated the opportunity to segue that in here. That we do have to support local businesses and small businesses so that we can continue to have access to services that are provided by people who care about what they do, who actually meaningfully care about their employees. Words are cheap. It's easy to say that you care about them, and it's easy to say that you're motivated. It's much more difficult to maintain that motivation and professionalism on a day-to-day basis. And when we focus on our communities, on the people who live next door to us, on the services we can provide for our communities, we're all going to be better off for it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Kevin. We appreciate it. It's a rainy day, and you came out on a rainy day, so we appreciate you taking the time to visit with us and share really about what you're doing and how you're impacting the community with Motivated Movers. So
I appreciate
thank you so
the opportunity.
much.
Thank you.